Shout out to this person's comment. Please pause to read, but after they commented I felt like it was important enough for me to make a video on it, because not only do I agree, but I feel like it's a problem in its early stages and it can be fixed, but it needs to be fixed now before it gets too far. Let's talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. Chan and the respect he's earned or, in some cases, lost from certain fans, including myself. I don't say this lightly because, if I'm being honest, I don't think I could ever truly hate him. He's the reason I've gotten to where I am today, the person who's inspired me to believe in myself and pursue my dreams. That being said, it feels like we're losing the leader that first drew so many of us to Stray Kids. I want to clarify something right away. I'm not saying that Chan has become a worse producer, performer, or even a worse person. He's still incredibly talented and works so hard for the group. But I feel like the direction he's been taking, particularly when it comes to engaging with fans who have parasocial or borderline delusional expectations, has shifted the focus away from what it should be. Stray Kids are musicians, producers, and performers. That's why we fell in love with them. They weren't just idols, they were storytellers and artists who poured their lives into their work. Recently though, it feels like Chan has been feeding into the fantasies of some fans, which, in my opinion, has done more harm than good. Here are some weird comments and videos. Now, I would say calling Chan girl dinner is accurate because he is beautiful. Anyways, let's get back on topic. Recently though, it feels like Chan has been feeding into the fantasies of some fans, which, in my opinion, has done more harm than good, whether it's through comments on Bubble or other interactions. It's as if he's unintentionally encouraging this idea of himself as boyfriend material instead of the leader of a groundbreaking group. I understand the pressure that comes with being an idol. It's a tricky industry to navigate, but when he leans into these narratives, even just a little, it distracts from what makes Stray Kids exceptional: their music, their message, and their authenticity. Let's be real here. None of us are going to end up with Chan. It's not about us not being good enough, it's about the reality of his life. He's a successful global artist, probably already has his eyes on someone, and has a completely different set of priorities. And that's okay. We shouldn't be listening to Stray Kids music because we want them to be our future significant others. We should be listening because their music is good, because it inspires us, and because it can lift us up in our hardest moments. That's what their artistry is about. And when we focus too much on these parasocial relationships, we lose sight of that. What's been especially frustrating is how inconsistent Chan can be when addressing this issue. On one hand, he'll call out unhealthy behavior in the fandom, reminding fans to respect boundaries and see idols as people, but then, he'll turn around and say something that directly feeds into these fantasies. It feels like mixed signals, and that only makes the problem worse. We need him to take a firm stance and stick to it. Be the leader who doesn't just go along with what's easy or popular but who reminds us why Stray Kids are who they are. I also feel like this shift in focus has affected the dynamic within the group. Chan was always the leader who brought out the best in everyone, who made us feel like Stray Kids were a family, not just for the members, but for the fans as well. But now, it seems like the pressure of catering to fans' expectations has taken its toll. Instead of fostering a sense of unity and artistry, we're seeing more instances where these parasocial fantasies are taking center stage. To regain the respect of fans like me, who are more focused on the group's music and artistry, I think Chan needs to redirect the conversation, talk more about the creative process, the struggles and triumphs of being a producer, and the meaning behind the music. Remind us why Stray Kids are a group unlike any other. That's the Chan who inspired me, and I believe he can come back to that. At the end of the day, I don't hate Chan. I couldn't, even if I tried, but I miss the leader who made me feel like anything was possible. The leader who inspired me with his strength, consistency, and vision. I know he's still that person deep down, and I believe he can bring that version of himself back, not just for the fans but for the group as a whole. This isn't about tearing Chan down, it's about holding him to the high standard that he set for himself, and that we know he's capable of reaching. Let's get back to focusing on the music, the creativity, and the artistry that made Stray Kids the group we all fell in love with. That's the legacy worth preserving. Now I'm talking to you. the delusional stays. Alright, let's talk directly to the people in this fandom who seem determined to make everything about their own fantasies or even worse, twist things into narratives that don't exist. This is a message for the delusional fans who are making things weird, not just for Chan but for everyone. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. There are people out there who are accusing Chan of being some kind of weirdo just because he engages with fans. Let me tell you something. Creating parasocial relationships and enabling delusions is one thing, being inappropriate or crossing boundaries is a whole different ballgame, and those accusations, completely baseless. Stop twisting harmless interactions into something they're not just because you want to project your own fantasies or issues onto him. It's gross, it's damaging, and frankly, it says more about you than it does about him. Now, to those who live on Reddit and spend their days spinning fanfiction-level theories about Chan or any other idol, here's a reality check. He's not your boyfriend. He's not secretly dropping hints for you to decode or trying to connect with you in a way that validates your delusions. He's an artist. He makes music. He interacts with fans because it's part of his job and, to some extent, because he genuinely cares about the people who support his group. That's where it ends. Anything else is a figment of your imagination. And honestly, you need to touch grass and reevaluate why you're even here. If you're interpreting every word he says as some deeply personal message to you, that's a you problem, not a Chan problem. And let me make this clear. Chan isn't blameless in all of this. Yes, he's fed into it at times, and then turning around and doing something that feels like it contradicts that. He's a human and he makes dumb mistakes. Does that excuse everything? No, but it's a reminder that he's not sitting there plotting ways to mess with your head. Let's also address the fans who are so caught up in these delusions that they've forgotten why they're even in this fandom. You're here for the music, right? Or at least, you should be. Stray Kids are one of the most talented groups out there, and their music is what brought most of us here in the first place. When you reduce their artistry to, oh, Chan is that kind of boyfriend, or Chan would totally do this if we were dating. You're not just disrespecting the group, you're disrespecting yourself. Because let's be honest, you're better than this. Or at least I hope you are. It's the fans who create toxic environments on Reddit and Bubble and Twitter, who twist every interaction into something it's not, and who then turn around and criticize idols for playing along with the narratives they've forced on them. If you're one of those people, you're part of the problem. And it's time to stop. At the end of the day, Stray Kids are artists. Their music is their legacy, not your imaginary relationship with them. If you can't separate the artist from the fantasy, maybe this isn't the fandom for you. Because when you focus on these delusions, you're making it harder for them to be seen for who they really are. Talented, hardworking, and inspiring individuals. So let's all take a step back. Stop projecting. Stop twisting narratives, and stop making everything about you. Support Stray Kids for their music, their creativity, and their artistry. Anything else? That's just noise, and we don't need it here. There are certain topics that I refuse to talk about just because they make me uncomfortable. So if you're wondering why I don't talk about things like the tile cast and things like that, there are things that I just don't feel comfortable talking about at my age, and I would appreciate if you would respect that. At this point in time, I'd like to mostly focus on things like harmless criticisms and critique, as well as reviews and ratings and things like that. I don't want to get into the serious stuff until I get older and more educated on things like that. Thank you. Choppies.